Hello and welcome back to the Stronghold. I'm the Magi. That's right, I decided it was time to take an on-screen persona. And it's that time again. It's midweek, and I want you to play some magic so you can win 2 free rare or better ICRs. For this week's Midweek Magic, I'm going to need everybody out there to contact their significant other and let them know you're getting ready to rock the single life. That's right, we are going to be kicking it with what I believe is the community's least favorite combination of formats. We've got Alchemy and Singleton here for you. And the deck that I put together and am suggesting is very simple to put together. It uses mostly cards that everyone is going to have and really makes this simple and painless. And it may even help you get a life or two. Stay tuned. But before we get into all that, allow me to do the awkward thing and promote the channel. A while back, one of my viewers was kind enough to point out that we are the only channel putting out timely midweek magic content. So be sure to subscribe right here at the Planeswalker Stronghold for all of your future midweek magic needs, because we will be bringing you a deck list or strategy every single week. So what do you say we put all this aside and just get to that? All right, so what I wanted to do this week was kind of feature the LSL Core Sadistic Pilgrim. I think this Singleton deck also makes a very good basis for a historic Brawl deck for our Sadistic Pilgrim Core Cleric Phyrexian. I think this is a very interesting build around card. So what we have here at its base is the classically mono-white life gain matters, and then we have added in some black payoffs and triggers for those life gain effects. So let's go through it card by card. We've got Homestead Courage as just a general good card. I know everyone has this from their new player experience. It pumps up your creatures, it gives vigilance, it has flashback. This, unfortunately, is in here for those budgetary constraints because I know everyone has this card. It's an easy cut as it does not directly synergize with those life gain matters. Luminarch Veteran, on the other hand, is a card that you probably would have needed to draft in order to have it, but this is an absolute cornerstone of both the Clerics decks and the life gain matters. Similarly, we've got a Traveling Minister up in here, and we're also running a March of Otherworldly Light. I think this is in everyone's new player experience collection, but I could be wrong on that. If you don't have this card, by all means, there is a ton of things you can substitute for it, but this is just a nice pseudo piece of removal for us. Angel of Unity, this is one of the Alchemy cards that I think for a lot of players is still worth either using a wild card to have a one-of copy, or if you're interested in developing an Alchemy-based collection, this is worth buying some packs in order to get that Angel of Unity going on. It is just a very strong utility card, and I think it's going to be kind of ever-present in Historic for a while. Giada, this is everyone's favorite angel from your new player experience. Hallowed Priest and Impassioned Orator you should recognize from the many Life Gain Matters builds in white. These are part of your mono white deck from your color challenge. So I know everyone has them, but they're only legal in Alchemy. Knight of Dawn's Light, a 2/2 first striker, is not bad for 2, and the fact that if you would gain life, you gain that much +1 instead makes it really, really solid. The first strike combined with a pump ability makes this really hard to deal with on the conflict lines. Phyrexian Missionary, the 2/3 lifelink 2-drop cleric. Also, if it's kicked, return target creature from your graveyard to your hand. can allow some of those Hallowed Priest, Impassioned Orator, things like that, to come back around and alleviate some of the difficult presented in a Singleton deck, because you can get some recursive things going on. Samite Healer is just a fantastic thing. Hopefully we have some ways to tap this other than just sending it into the combat zone, but there are definitely going to be cases where tapping this simply to attack is going to be the things to do. Take up the shield, instant speed, +1/+1 counter on target creature, gains lifelink and indestructible until end of turn. Really, really good, especially if you use that on something like Hallowed Priest. When you're in that combat situation, giving your biggest creature also lifelink has extreme advantages. Eternal Thirst is also from your Alchemy mono black color challenge deck. It's an enchantment, so it does kind of open you up to that aura 2-for-1 issue, but it gives any creature lifelink, and it creates its own +1/+1 counter whenever a creature dies. And if you put this on something that also benefits from gaining life, like say Hallowed Priest, this gets really, really silly, because it becomes its own self-fulfilling prophecy, and they are pretty much forced to chump block this. So now it's getting multiple counters per turn, and it just gets really dumb. Tenacious Underdog from your new player experience. The fact that you can blitz this out over and over again for the cost of primarily 2 life is not such a big deal in a deck that gains so much life. Of course, Sadistic Pilgrim, a 2/2 Death Touch, helps hold the line. And whenever a creature ETBs, you gain a life. Whenever another creature you control dies, each opponent loses a life. So it just really feeds into that whole synergy thing. Angel of Vitality, you'll recognize from the mono white builds. If you gain life, you gain that much +1 instead. It gets bigger when you have over 25 life. Particularly good if you were to develop this into a Brawl deck as you start with 25 life. Celestial Unicorn, an Alchemy only card right now. It was in Standard last year. It does pretty much the same trick as Hallowed Priest. It just starts bigger to start with, and just becomes a problem right off the gate. Golden Tail Disciple, 2/3 lifelink for 3, just fits synergy so well. Inspiring Overseers, a 2/1 evasive flyer. When it ETBs, you gain a life and draw a card. It's an angel, it's a cleric. It just doesn't get much better than that for a common in this environment. Lulu, this is one of those cards you may not have if you weren't around to draft this, but a 1/3 for 2 flying that specializes in a couple different potential ways here, and gives other creatures flying. Is just really good for a deck that is trying to do the business directly to the opponent and not get stalled out on the combat zone. Priest of Ancient Lore is basically just like your Inspiring Overseer, but does not fly. So slightly worse. Still a cleric, but only a dwarf. Rallying Maneuvers is a nice draftable uncommon from the Baldur's Gate set. Pumps your creature, gives it first strike. Up to 1 other target creature gets a defensive boost and lifelink until end of turn. So this can become really, really damaging. Winning Announcement, if you don't know this card, I don't know where you've been. Same with Adeline here. Mono white, this is just a ridiculously good card. And the fact that it makes tokens triggers all of that Hallowed Priest and Impassioned Orator thing you got going on. Your Sadistic Pilgrim, same way. Making tokens good. The fact that it also pumps Adeline, not bad at all. Arrogant Outlaw, a 3/2 for 3. When it ETBs, if an opponent lost life this turn, each opponent loses 2 additional life, and you gain 2 life. Let the triggers begin. Gibbering Barricade is just a nice way to maybe utilize those tokens in a stalled board state to not only trigger a life gain, but also draw cards and hopefully find something to break up your stalled board state. Vampires spawn from that Baldur's Gate set. When it ETBs, each opponent loses 2 life. You gain 2 life. Triggers ensue. Prayer of Binding. This is one of those more marginal cards for 4 mana. It does have flash. Exile up to 1 target non-land permanent an opponent controls. Until this leaves play, you gain 2 life. So it's a bit of removal and life gain all together. And the fact that it has flash can really wreck some things in combat. So like you can attack, let them declare blockers. Maybe they double up on something trying to kill it. You flash in, take away one of the blockers, so they lose the combat trade-off option. You gain life, so maybe one or more of your creatures gains some power and toughness. This can be a real blowout in the right situation. Leonin War Leader, he's a cat soldier, so not a lot of synergy as far as the Angel Cleric stuff going on, but Leonins are just really good. A 4/4 for 4 is not bad. The fact that it also makes tokens is really great, as we've discussed in some other areas. The fact that those tokens also have lifelink just creates so much more synergy. More often than not, if this survives long enough to swing and they don't answer it, you are probably 50% more likely to win the game. Wandering Emperor, she's good. Yeah, C standard for like the last year. Motoko Ambusher. Ninjutsu adds a little unexpected flavor to the mix, but it's mostly in here as a 4 mana 3/2 with lifelink. Of course, lifelink is what this deck really, really wants. Warhorse is in here for the 2-to-1 aspect. For 4 mana, you get 4 power in the form of a 3/3 and a 1/1 token. You get 2 ETB triggers. That's really, really awesome. You also get a synergy to allow you to sacrifice creatures, which will then trigger Sadistic Elcor, much the way Gibbering Barricade does. And it'll pump your Warhorse if need be. Sheldred's Restoration. This is just another one of those ways to kind of get around the singleton nature of this deck, allowing you to bring creatures back into play, hopefully for added synergistic value. Extinguish the Light, a 4 mana removal that allows you to gain life if you have to trade down on this. And of course, that is a benefit on top of a benefit. Sheldred, don't feel bad if you don't have this card. Don't expend a wild card here. I have real concerns that mono black is going to continue to get worse as they make updates. But this card just very synergistically allows you to gain life and punish your opponent for drawing cards. And oh yeah, it's a 4/5 Death Touch for 4 in its own right. So pretty darn good. Elspeth, you know her from your new player experience. She's awesome. She can give counters to your creatures, not only making them bigger, but evasive through flying and first strike. Allow them to play double duty with things like vigilance, or give a creature lifelink to create those self-fulfilling prophecy sort of situations. And if for some reason this gets high enough, its ultimate create 5 3/3 white angel creature tokens with flying should pretty much end the game. Lisa, Forgotten Archangel, is one of those rares from our new player experience. A 5 mana 4/5 flying lifelink just fits very, very nicely, not only to the colors of this deck, but the life gain matters synergy as well. Whenever a non-token creature you control dies, return that card to its owner's hand at the beginning of your next end step. If a creature an opponent controls would die, exile it instead. Both of these things will still trigger your Sadistic Pilgrim, and if it's your creature, allows it to come back to your hand to be recast, and again, get past that singleton problem, and allow you to have repetitive things going on, particularly if you're sacking the creature for value and then recasting it. It just gets very, very silly, and really prevents your opponent from doing similar things by exiling their creatures instead of allowing it to go to the graveyard. Very, very good stuff. The mana base is pretty simple. We're leaning a little more towards white mana here with an 11/8 matrix. We've got an Abandoned Mire in here, again, just because it allows us to mill things to then maybe recur. Very good stuff. And if you don't have it, don't worry about it. And then we're running our 3 on-color lands here in the form of Caves as your pain land, Scoured Barrens as your tempo life land, and then Shattered Sanctum as your slow land that comes into play untapped only if you control 2 or more lands. So all in all, that's the deck. I'm looking forward to playing this myself and seeing just what kind of shenanigans I can get into here on a midweek Magic. And as I said, I think this makes a very good base for a potential commander deck. I do think Sadistic Pilgrim is a nice budget alternative, but of course, Lisa, I don't know, the Forgotten Archangel is also a good Brawl alternative here, and a card that I know each and every one of you has from your new player experience. So get out there and enjoy this deck tonight, guys. I hope you guys make it out tonight for the Twitch stream, and I love you guys.
What's that? You didn't catch all that? Well, Matt would like you to know that any deck list applicable to this video can be found down in the doobly-doo. Hey, let's not forget, the whole reason to participate in these totally free midweek Magic events is the prize support is awesome. And don't forget, if this video gets just 10 likes by 8 p.m. tonight on the day of release, I will be live playing this on my Twitch channel. And with all that having been said, don't forget, smash that like button like Ronnie J would. And until next time, I'll see you in the arena.